What do you get when you combine tower defense with Age of Empires? Well, stick around and you might find out. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at Thronefall, a new minimalistic tower defense game developed by Grizzly Games. As Thronefall is currently in early access development, we'll be delving into the game to share our first impressions and see if it's worth picking up in its current state. So, bar the gates, grab a sword, and we'll dive into Thronefall together. The idea behind Thronefall is similar to the Kingdom series, but instead of the traditional 2D pixel art style, we're treated to a gorgeous isometric voxel appearance. If you've ever played Kingdom Rush, Rogue Tower, or the Kingdom series, you'll feel right at home with Thronefall. Thronefall uses an overworld map system similar to the Overcooked series. Does anyone else remember driving that van around? Seriously, I think I ended up spending more time spinning around trying to piss my friends off than actually playing the levels. Instead, you take control of a cute little horse as you navigate between areas in Thronefall. The game offers 4 maps currently, one being a short tutorial, so technically 3 proper maps, ranging from scorched desert mountain ranges to frozen tundra wastelands, Frostpunk style. Given that this game is in early access at the moment, I would expect that there's more coming down the road, and the Steam page shows that the developers have more up their sleeve. The level design is top notch and presents a wide variety of locales, each with their own distinct aesthetics and challenges. Not only that, but each level features small gameplay changes which spice things up and offer subtle yet impactful differences in between levels. We also have the perk system and the mutator system, which I'll get back to later. My initial impressions of Thronefall have been positive. The game does an excellent job of introducing its mechanics and systems to ensure a smooth learning curve without overwhelming players. While the game never becomes too easy or too difficult, I did feel the difficulty curve begin to ramp up in the later levels. Every now and then I'd face a loss and had to restart the level to change my strategy and try again. The premise of Thronefall is simple to learn but difficult to master. Starting as a lone soldier with just a castle to your name, you must strategically build and expand your town between enemy waves. Each building serves a specific purpose. For example, the town hall serves as your base of operations and must be defended at all times. If this goes down, you lose. You've also got economic buildings like the mill to provide gold, and military structures like barracks to train allies and towers to fire back at enemy foes. Between rounds, your gold pile is increased based on which buildings managed to survive in the previous round, adding a challenge to the game by requiring you to make trade-offs to keep your economy ticking along. Poor performance in one round can lead to reduced gold in the next, potentially leading to an eventual demise if not properly prepared. This is a common feature in tower defense games, but it did kind of frustrate me at times, especially when I struggled through several rounds only to succumb to the attrition in the final stage. Restarting felt like the better option in some cases, and I probably should have gone with that. The ability to upgrade buildings with gold also adds depth to the gameplay. Enhancing economic structures yields more gold if you're able to keep them alive during rounds, while upgrading towers and units empowers them to dish out more damage to the enemy. Each time you upgrade a building, you're offered a choice of upgrades and specializations. For instance, upgrading your mills to explode when destroyed allows you to sacrifice some income for increased damage, making them more like giant explosive traps rather than gold generators. I found this system to be well implemented and allows for player choice in tailoring their strategies for different playstyles. Distinctive to other traditional tower defense games, Thronefall introduces an exciting twist and allows you to join in the fight personally. You've got the option to choose between various weapons and perks to augment your preferred playing style, using the bow for long-range combat or the spear for close-up attacks. The character movement and combat felt snappy and well designed. Each weapon has a specific special attack, for example the spear, which powers up your basic attacks and makes them faster for a short period of time, or the bow, which has a quick melee attack to use when up close and personal. Presenting the player with a choice of playstyles through the use of alternate weapons and perks is great, and allows you to choose between a more passive, defensive playstyle, or allows you to take matters into your own hands with a more personal approach. Being able to control your character manually adds an interesting layer to the gameplay, but also presents some unintended quirks. For example, if you wiggle around the enemies long enough, you can grab their attention and kite them around the battlefield, which didn't really feel right. For me, a tower defense game presents the unique challenge of trying to kill waves of enemies, moving towards their inevitable destination. You either throw enough firepower at them to stop them or you lose, whereas in Thronefall, it almost felt like my job was to ride around the battlefield and act as a distraction for enemies until my towers and troops finished them off. Thronefall's inclusion of manual character control and combat is a welcome addition and provides an extra dimension to the gameplay, but some fine-tuning might be necessary to ensure that this doesn't become too overpowered to ensure a well-balanced gaming experience. Thronefall has a decent amount of enemy variety and introduces unique challenges that keep the gameplay feeling fresh and exciting. You'll encounter powerful siege units, slow yet threatening, and capable of dealing massive amounts of damage if left unchecked. On the other hand, pesky, smaller enemies quickly slip through your defenses but are a lot easier to pick off. Thronefall does a good job of introducing enemies gradually by presenting them between rounds, allowing players to learn how to handle them more effectively. This is good game design and presents the problem of overwhelming or confusing players. Combat in Thronefall had one aspect that I found to be a bit tedious, the need to position allies between rounds. While the game does offer the convenience of automatically positioning your troops based on their last positions, the problem arises when enemy entry points frequently change, forcing me to manually adjust the positions between rounds. This became increasingly bothersome, especially when combined with the game's simplistic control system, which I'll discuss shortly. As a result, I often just ended up leaving troops in their default positions and hope for the best, but this strategy proved less than optimal. optimal, particularly when crucial economy buildings were constructed outside the walls and required troops for defense. Thronefall remains captivating and challenging as you strive to incorporate diverse defenses to fend off a variety of enemy types. In the later game stages, you'll find yourself managing multiple fronts simultaneously, transforming you into a commanding presence in a theatre of war, rather than a solitary soldier. The feeling of being a strategic mastermind, navigating different battlefronts keeps the game feeling engaging, even though the reality of not being able to be everywhere at once forces you to carefully maintain each angle to avoid being overwhelmed. Gold is a valuable resource in Thronefall that allows you to upgrade and specialize your buildings, changing the way they operate and granting unique bonuses, but the perk system doesn't stop there. As you complete levels, you'll earn experience points for your character, enabling you to level up and unlock new features including weapon types, each with their own unique gameplay and style, and distinctive perks which alter the way you play. These character perks also change the way the buildings work in the game. For instance, the Royal Mint perk enhances your castle's capabilities, enabling it to passively collect income between rounds and boosting its output with each upgrade. On the other hand, the Arcane Tower perk empowers your defenses, making them stronger and more effective in dealing with enemies. However, there's a catch. You can only select 2 perks at a time. This limitation adds a delightful layer of depth and strategy to the game, allowing you to tailor your experience and gameplay style according to your preferences. Thronefall keeps the excitement and novelty alive by introducing the mutator system, similar to perks but this time providing increased challenges in your gameplay. As you level up, you'll unlock more and more mutators, allowing you to mix and match them for fresh challenges each time. For instance, you can increase enemy HP or damage output to raise the difficulty level, and there's a nice risk-reward system involved. Each mutator, while increasing the difficulty, also increases the amount of experience earned if you manage to beat it. Some map objectives require you to beat the level using a specific perk, weapon or mutator combination, which adds replayability to Thronefall, which was a nice touch. The soundtrack in Thronefall is surprisingly good, capturing that fantasy feel that complements the gameplay perfectly. Each level features a unique theme, seamlessly blending with the level's aesthetics and adding a layer of excitement during heated combat as you dash around the battlefield on your trusty horse. Visually, Thronefall's graphics are a delight, presenting an eye-catching minimalistic art style with vibrant colours and striking contrasts. The voxel isometric design is gorgeous, and I have absolutely no complaints about the game's appearance. Thronefall ran flawlessly without any hiccup, and I'm pretty sure you could run this game on any toaster on the market. Even in its early access stage, it's easy to see that the developers put in a considerable amount of effort to ensure a smooth and polished experience, even if there is a current lack of content overall. So, we've talked about the good bits, but what about the not so good bits? During my time with Thronefall, I did encounter a few odd quirks that affected my gameplay experience. My main issue lies with the UI, which could use some improvement. Aside from managing troops, which we've already talked about, I found it challenging to see where enemies were coming from in some instances, making it difficult to strategize effectively. An in-game map system would work wonders here. Additionally, I found it hard to tell what round I was on, which made it difficult to plan ahead. A simple UI box indicating the current round count would have been immensely helpful. I also noticed that the game seems to be tailored for controllers specifically, which isn't a negative, but considering the game is only out on PC at the moment, I would have appreciated some additional mouse controls. It felt quite limiting not being able to use my mouse and keyboard to group enemies together, or have more precise control over my unit's movement in combat. During intense battles, it can be frustrating or even impossible to physically run back to my group of archers just to get them to follow me. I wish there was an option to command allies from a distance. Further to this, the one-button control system got a bit annoying as well. Trying to select archers from your death ball of troops became a nightmare due to the selection circle being so big, forcing me to run around in circles trying to pinpoint the right unit. During the heat of combat, I didn't even bother trying to micromanage my units. My poor horse must have gotten whiplash from all the spinning around. I also noticed a few inconsistencies which might not be considered bugs, but definitely had me scratching my head. Enemies are easy to distract and kite around the battlefield, which adds an interesting dynamic to the combat, but also made the game feel less like a tower defense and more like a bad RTS game at times. I was able to push them through spike walls on the map, which was effective but didn't really feel like an intended mechanic and felt a bit exploitative. I would suggest having the spike walls have a HP system and have them blow up after dealing enough damage to enemies, or something to this effect. In a similar vein, character movement became inconsistent at times, particularly in the mountain level, where trying to move around the elevated sections felt really janky and didn't work well at all. While these aspects didn't ruin the overall experience, I definitely think the game needed a bit more time in the development oven before it was ready to go. Overall, Thronefall is a fantastic little gem with some minor bugs and inconsistencies. At its current price of £5.30, it offers a fair deal for the content provided. While the game is very enjoyable, it's evident that with a little bit more polish and additional content later down the line, Thronefall will hopefully become a must-play experience in the future. For now, if you're willing to forego that morning coffee, the game offers more than enough content to justify the £5 price tag. The developers are fully aware of the current limitations and lack of content, and I'm excited to see what's coming in the future. I'll withhold a final judgment until the game is out of early access, as I'm confident that it has the potential to become something special. So there we have it. If you're looking for a lunchtime lounger to keep you busy in short bursts, I would recommend that you check this one out. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up or leave a comment letting me know what you think of Thronefall, or subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy castle defending.